Have you ever been mining Pi every day, watching it grow gradually, and wondering how much it will all be worth in the end? Is it wise to save your Pi for the long run, or perhaps exchange it for a certain amount? And what is the upper limit of that price? Today, we will explore the important topics of PiCoin's future worth, the goal of the Pi Core team, and the implications for trailblazers like you. Here's a question though, before we begin. How much do you believe PiCoin could sell for? Leave your responses in the comments section below. Check out my earlier videos, which include a link in the description if you want to stay up to date on all the newest happenings surrounding Pi Network. Now, if you truly love Pi, leave your nation and a Pi Network to the moon in the comments. For us to continue providing you with the most recent information on Pi Network, please remember to like, share, and subscribe. This is not investment advice. It is just amusement. That being said, let's set the record straight. A ridiculously high coin value is not what the Pi Network initiative is aiming for. Instead of making unrealistic promises, the core team is aiming for consistent, affordable pricing that encourages sustainable growth. They are aware of how important sustainability is in a market that moves quickly, particularly as PiCoin will depend on a network of actual exchanges, transactions, and goods. The true takeaway is that despite appearances, a higher PiCoin price isn't always the ideal. Why? The power of the Pi Network, in contrast to other cryptocurrencies, is in establishing a value that all users can trade, trust, and appreciate over time. As you may remember from earlier talks, Pi Network's transition to the Mainnet caused markets to go into overdrive in an attempt to determine the value of PiCoin. As pioneers, we have all seen the emergence of multiple marketplaces with unique PiCoin pricing, each of which establishes a price that users agree upon. There is still a significant uncertainty though. Why hasn't the Pi Core team just declared Pi's fixed value? That would simplify things, wouldn't it? The quick answer is, that's not how it works. PiCoin is special since the community will decide how much it is worth. This is the cost, even if the core team could yell from the rooftops. At that rate, they have little power over whether consumers buy or sell. You are holding a coin. What you trade it for is up to you. You can request $314,159 if you think it's worth that much. Will anyone, however, purchase it? That is the crucial question. The core team would probably fall short if they attempted to set an official price. Their main goal is to create a market where supply and demand naturally balance out, resulting in a price X that both buyers and sellers agree upon without any coercion. They are creating a market in which PiCoin won't fluctuate sharply like a lot of other cryptocurrencies. Rather, they strive for a steady value that fosters expansion. However, what price range do they possibly have in mind? We can presume that they have some long-term objectives, and we are pushed closer to that sweet spot at every stage of the process. The Pi Core team is creating a system in which supply and demand dictate this pricing for everyone, including you. Here's the problem though. Let's take a moment to consider the implications for all parties while discussing high PiCoin pricing. It makes sense that people would want to think PiCoin might transform lives overnight. If you're among the numerous fans who have gathered around the $314,159 GGV rate. Several trailblazers are advertising this price everywhere on the internet, creating marketplaces to exchange things at that GCV cost, and envisioning PiCoin as a means of purchasing expensive vehicles, boats, and possibly even a mansion. But let's face it, especially in a market that is still in its infancy, PiCoin can only purchase so much. It's unrealistic to expect Pi to finance your bigger aspirations quite now, even though you might be able to acquire a loaf of bread, some fruits, or other modest things. Additionally, prospective users might be hesitant to sign up if they see Pi's exorbitant costs. If everything is out of reach, who would want to be a part of that network? The network would appear more like an exclusive club than a developing community if Pi coins were too expensive. They would suffocate the Pi network. Consider an environment devoid of new ideas, talent, and a flood of goods and services. There would be no genuine transaction taking place, and it would resemble a ghost town where a few pioneers hold on to an exorbitant rate. The Pi Core team does not want that kind of network, and it is not the type that thrives. Pi must have a reasonable, reachable price that has value in the network and the larger economy if it is to be successful. Let's examine a few instances. The charge for a transaction on Pi network is 0.1 Pi today, and no matter where you ship it across the world, this charge remains the same. In contrast, typical bank transfers using SWIFT have costs that start at about $10 and can reach hundreds or thousands of dollars depending on the size and location of the transaction. Therefore, a Pi coin would need to be valued at about $100 to equal the fee counterparts if we use $10 as the baseline for a global transfer. I'm curious to know how that $100 amount compares to the actual world. Now, let's move over to the Fireside Forum, where 100 tokens are for 1 Pi. You can communicate with others by posting, leaving comments, and using these tokens. Now, consider the expense of advertising on a social media site such as Facebook, where it can cost approximately $11.20 to reach 1,000 individuals. You may expect roughly 8,900 views on Fireside for $100. Your voice might be heard by thousands of other pioneers with just 1 Pi, giving you reach that is equivalent or even greater. This type of comparison aids in illustrating the potential value that Pi coin may pursue, a cost that allows Pi to participate in international trade and positions it in line with contemporary financial norms. $100 per Pi isn't a random amount, in a way. The core team is working toward this aim through rigorous network growth, market mechanisms, and practical solutions. Additionally, they are creating an atmosphere that promotes consistency around this goal, even if they will not formally establish a price. Consider the Pi Core team to be Pi Nation's government, with Pi coin as its currency and an exchange rate to control. This is about putting rules in place that steadily stabilize the price, not about shouting from the rooftops. To maintain Pi's value and relevance, they will also make adjustments in response to changes in the economy or increases in inflation. Pi differs from many other cryptocurrencies in that it maintains a careful balance. Depending on their objectives, it's normal for some people to feel that $100 per Pi is still too costly or too low after hearing this.